for me specifically and for my family specifically, like we prioritize the things that we eat. And I say that because you'll get the most impact from that. So instead, we've decided to come up with a budget, and our budget prioritizes nutrition because of my daughter's health issues. Mm-hmm. So am I going to spend it in the hospital, or am I going to spend it feeding her?
Right.
Welcome back to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Avi, what's up? What's good with you?
What's up, Jay?
How you feeling today?
Good. Summer's almost done.
It is. Oh my God.
Summer's almost
Don't say
done.
that. I'm not ready for
I get
what's
that.
coming next, because we only know we got 2 seasons, hot and cold. That's it. That's all we have up here.
But the thing about it, going into another season, that's a lot for Cruise Control Media.
Yeah.
We got some stuff coming up. So
We do. It's a lot of great things that's on the horizon.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited about. We're going to be rolling out some things on the podcast, and some new partnerships, and we got a lot of great things that's coming. New events, big events that's coming.
So that's why it's okay that summer is starting to end, because we got some things coming up for the fall.
I'm still not ready for the weather to change.
I know.
I'm not ready for this weather to change, because it's you know how it gets in Buffalo. Last year we had it was rough last year.
But the thing about it, it was okay until it was rough. Like, it was only rough for that. Do you know? Jamil, it was only rough for that period of time, though.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That was a long-ass period of time that it was rough, because it was like, this was the worst winter we ever had, but
I know.
All that aside, I'm excited. I'm excited about today. I'm excited about today's episode of the podcast. We have an extraordinary guest. We always say we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. I think this woman is the epitome of extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. And she is absolutely phenomenal, doing some incredible things in the health and wellness space. And I thought it would be really important to kind of bring her back onto this episode. We recently had a podcast. I had an episode where we talked about health, and I was very vulnerable about just my own health journey, and things that I've been going through, and just like the consistencies or lack thereof when it came to like health and wellness in my life. I had all these other areas of my life that was just going incredibly well, but there's one area that was very inconsistent. So I had the opportunity to meet this young lady. I don't know when. I can't remember how long ago it was. Yeah, but kind of quick little backstory, though. I go back with her family. You know what I mean? Like her sister, one of her older sisters, was my prom date back in high school.
Really?
Yeah,
We're going to pull up that picture.
Yeah. Oh, no. Let's keep that picture. Let's keep that. Let's not pull up that picture.
Not do it. Okay.
No, we should not. Okay. We should not do that. But, shout out to Liz. Man, she really good person. Really, her whole family is just really, really dope. One of her other sisters, I had the opportunity of serving on leadership team for the Buffalo Urban League Young Professionals. And she's just doing some incredible things here in the area as well. The whole family is dope.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Brothers, like it's a clan of them. They like the Wu-Tang clan. You know what I mean? Like for real. But this one right here, I had the opportunity to meet. I want to say maybe a year or two ago, and just saw that I knew of her, but I didn't know all of what she was doing. Okay. And, we actually connected. I believe it was after we had the situation at Tops, right? And I was doing some stuff in the community. Yes. She had reached out to me, was like, I want to get involved. And I was like, yeah, all right, bet. Like, absolutely, let's do it. So she came to one of the events that we had. I think we was doing a food giveaway or something like that. And then, I just started following. I'm like, man, she's doing some incredible things. And I'm like, God damn, she's ripped. Like, she's in shape, dog. Right. Like, she's in shape, So So we had an opportunity to talk, and then she reached out to me and was like, she has some ideas, some things that she wanted to do for her business. And, of course, I always try to steer people in the direction of podcasting. I'm like, oh, you should start a podcast. And I don't think at the time she was quite ready for it, but all of that changed because we definitely gonna get her going with that. But all that aside, I have a really good friend, Miss Ariel Collins. How are you doing today?
Ariel.
I am amazing.
Yes, you are amazing.
I'm grateful. Today's a good day.
It is a good day. It is.
Well, I'm so excited.
Good. We're happy to have you.
We're super excited to have you on. So I'm gonna have you. One thing that and Avi can tell you about this about me. It's a pet peeve of mine to have people introduce themselves.
Big pet peeve.
Yeah, it's a big pet peeve because I want to make sure that we do our due diligence, and so I'm going to try to introduce you right now from what I know, and whatever I don't.
Go ahead and fill it in.
Yeah, you just go ahead and fill that thing in. So Ariel, she's a registered nurse by trade, right? She is heavy in the health and wellness space. One of the practices which I think is very unique that she does is in the area of colon hydrotherapy, right? And when she first told me about this, I'm like, what is the colon hydrotherapy?
Which I just got notice of that last week, so I'm interested. So I want to hear more about that.
Yeah. So, but she's she has her credentials to back. She's been trained by some of the top medical professionals in the world. When I say world, I'm talking about Switzerland. I mean all over the place, Okay. And she just has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things health and wellness, but particularly gut health, right? So,
yes, absolutely.
And we're gonna have her talk about that in a bit. But is there anything that I miss? I'm sure it's a lot, but
I'm gonna say no.
Okay,
I'll
take that. Ching.
You got it.
I'll take that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey, right? You started, you weren't always kind of big in this health and wellness space, right? So what got you into this space, and where was that transition? When did that transition take place for you?
To be totally honest, I want to say that my journey started before me. It preceded me. Just growing up. So my brother's diagnosed with sickle cell at birth. So it's something that you're born with. It's not something you choose, or it's not something you catch. And growing up, I just taking care of him with my mom, going to hospital visits, seeing him in the hospital, and just always having a heart for people. So I consider myself a servant. I consider my entire family a servants in their own way. So my father's a pastor, my mother's a first lady. So I've always just seen them serve God and serve people at the same time and have a heart for people. Like if it's one thing my father has given me and my entire family, all of my sisters, all 10 of us, well, it's 9 of us. It is. I have 6 sisters and 2 brothers. Okay. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Was that all by choice?
Listen, they chose it.
Okay.
They chose that. So just growing up and seeing, and I didn't quite understand things. And that's what led me to become a nurse originally. So I have 2 degrees, actually. I have a bachelor's of science in psychology with a concentration in mental health. And I've always wanted to help people in one way or another. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I started that career and that trajectory, I'm like, that's not for me. I'm going to nursing school. I just made a decision one day. And I've worked my way through nursing school with the help of my family and with God, and we made it. And from there, it just kind of took off. But it really, I'm sorry, we're talking about how did I get here. So it preceded me. My great-grandmother passed away of colon cancer. And I didn't think that was important until it became important. Mm-hmm. And my great-aunt, her sister, passed away from dementia. And the last 4 years of her life, she lived at home with us. We took care of her. So health and wellness, it didn't click yet, though. It didn't click. It kind of is like, okay, I see what Josh is going through. My brother, Josh, I love you, Josh. Mm-hmm. And just taking care of him and helping my mom with her own issues. And with my family, just seeing things. But I never really understood until I had my own daughter. So in 2018, I became a mom. I was a nurse prior to 2018. So I've been a nurse since 2016. Got pregnant with my daughter, and I carry a sickle cell trait, and her father carries a sickle cell trait. And we knew that was a possibility, but I didn't see that. But as soon as I looked at my daughter, I knew she had sickle cell.
Wow.
I knew it. I'm like, I birthed this child. This is my child, and I know.
Real quick, because for people that's unfamiliar with like sickle cell and such, like you said, you looked at your daughter and you can tell. Like, what were those signs that for people, for you that you knew that she possibly had sickle cell?
I asked God before having my daughter to not give me a child with sickle cell. I knew there was a possibility, and I didn't want it because I knew what my brother had gone through, and I seen how it affected my family physically, mentally, financially, emotionally. Chronic diseases are traumatic events throughout your entire life, and it doesn't just affect you; it affects everyone around you. Everybody around you. And I said, God, please, anything else, if that's what you want me to have, but I don't know if I could do it, because it was the thing that I knew and I saw, so I did not want it at all. So there was no sign or symptom outwardly, and that's the thing about sickle cell. There are no signs or symptoms outwardly. There are some things, and that's only if you know, but to the rest of the world, people with sickle cell look just like you and me. You have no idea. And just to give a little background, because we're talking about sickle cell and I haven't necessarily explained it. So sickle cell is a deformity. It's a genetic disorder of your red blood cells. So our red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, they're all created in our bone marrow as we grow, in our moms, like all of it. And your genetic material that you get from your mom or your dad determines eye color, skin color, those kinds of things, the things we don't choose, your sex. But if something goes wrong, they can give disease. So sickle cell is a deformity of her red blood cells, the one she creates. So instead of your cells being shaped like quarters, I would say, they're shaped like sickles. So they're literally sickle shaped, and those sickle shaped cells get stuck. I think of it like sticks going through a straw. So if you think of it in that way, the straw are your veins and your arteries, and her cells, her red blood cells, her oxygen carrying red blood cells that give all oxygen and basically all life to every organ and every cell in your body, they're shaped like sickles. And there was no outside, there was nothing except my gut, literally. There was nothing. I held her in my hands, I looked at her dad, and I said, my baby has sickle cell. And then it took a couple of weeks for them, so they don't tell you right away. So newborn screening, which I want to say was developed in 1989, is a panel of tests that all newborns in New York State go through, and it tests for 49 or so genetic disorders. Like cystic fibrosis is a disorder. There's a lot of disorders that they check for, but sickle cell is one of them. And because of what my family had gone through, I already knew. And prior to that shot, my brother received a transplant. So I knew that I was sickle cell trait positive. And I knew her dad was because I asked him prior to conceiving Kai if he could, and he did. So it took me 2 weeks of hounding every doctor because I just needed to know. I already knew, but I just needed definitive. I needed to know. So when they told me, I was sad. I think that's not even the best way to describe it. I was devastated more than anything, because here you are asking God for the one thing. I'm like, just give me that one thing this one time, and I swear. Those conversations you have.
I asked God not to give me a crying baby.
Baby, listen. Okay.
Oh boy.
And he gave me just the thing I didn't want, and I just couldn't cope for a long time.
Yeah.
It took me about 3 months to even tell my family, because I'm a nurse. I understand. So from a bedside component, like on one side with your family, but on the other side of the fence, I know too. And I could not cope for the life of me for a very long time. Is
there a cure for sickle cell?
Currently, there there is not a cure, but there are treatments.
So people can manage.
People can manage, but okay. So I want to be clear when I give this answer. There is a possibility of cure. And I'll tell you that because my family is a product of having sickle cell and not having sickle cell. This is not my story to tell, but I'll tell you a little bit of it. My brother was the first adult patient in Buffalo, New York to receive a stem cell transplant for sickle cell anemia. And it was successful.
Nice.
So,
And he hasn't had any issues since?
I won't say that.
Okay.
Because Josh was, I want to say, 25 when he received transplant. And throughout that time, his body had gone through so much.
Yeah.
So those things are irreversible.
Okay.
But the sickle cell in itself is no longer.
Okay.
So that's a newer treatment option amongst other things that have come for sickle cell. And I'm grateful. So we talk about this clan of siblings that I have, right?
Yeah.
And I thank God for that clan of siblings that I have, because the donor that my brother matched with, a 10 for 10 donor, a full donor, was my sister.
Oh, wow.
And he had 3 options from his immediate family.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And for African American people, donation, bone marrow donation, blood donation is not something that we typically do.
Yeah.
Who do you know that goes and gives blood? I don't know anybody.
I don't.
Yeah.
I have reasons, though.
I understand. Absolutely. I understand. And, I think that it's cultural as well. A lot of just what we know of culture doesn't lend for us to be giving in those ways. You know what I mean? But those ways could actually save lives. That blood that you give could save someone's life. That bone marrow that you give could be the last chance for someone at survival. And it's not just from sickle cell. There are other diseases that it could potentially cure someone from. Yeah. But that's another conversation. That was when I knew, well, it took me a while to get there. So up until Kai's, for her first birthday was really hard for us. So sickle cell is like on a spectrum. And there's different types of sickle cell as well. There's SS and there's SC. So when I think of, my daughter has SS disease, which historically, excuse me, is challenging, extremely challenging. Mm-hmm. And your symptoms can range. Some people, I know people with sickle cell who have 1 crisis a year, 1 every 5 years, none at all. And some that are in the hospital with crises every single month.
Right.
So, in knowing my family history and seeing it my entire life, I knew what this battle would require of me. And at that moment, I was not ready to give that. Mm-hmm. I didn't have it to give. So it took a while for me to cultivate it. And I still am. It still affects me. But our first birthday was very important. It was the turning point. She had crises leading up to that, very minor crises leading up to that. But up until her first birthday, she had her first major crisis. Mm-hmm. And it made me realize that a child before the age of 1 dealing with pain of this magnitude, I just knew what that would mean for the rest of her life. So I knew it was up to me. And at that point, God gave me strength, because I knew that if she was going to be better, it would be through me. And she's your
why now.
She is my why.
She's your why.
She is absolutely, my family is my why. Like, there are certain things that are just important to me. Everybody has morals and values, but behind God is my family. Mm-hmm. I would do anything for my family. So I knew that's when the come to Jesus moment happened, where, I had a brother with sickle cell. And we grew up, and I work in a hospital. Before I was a nurse, I was an aide for quite a long time at the institution where he received his transplant. So, and then I became a nurse at that same institution. So I knew that like the back of my hand. And then God he allowed me to become a nurse. He gave me the strength to become a nurse, because that was not an easy journey. And that was one that I needed to go through. I went through pretty much alone. I worked my way through nursing school. Every A that I got, I earned. And that was a pinnacle moment for me. And it was God that did that for me. After that, having my daughter, and no, I didn't choose sickle cell. Sickle cell chose me. All right, so what are we gonna do? Right. So I can either sit here and allow her to see me that way and think that that's what her life should be for her, or we can fight and we can find other ways because I know that they exist.
And I love that too, because you're really instilling in her, especially at a very young age, the whole idea of, just having that fight in you, right? Because we're going to go through things in life. Absolutely. And if we aren't prepared, especially at a young age, to really combat some of these challenges that we're going to go through, it can really completely take us off our rocker, right?
Absolutely.
And I know even for me, going through a lot of things that I went through coming up, it prepared me for when things happen in my adult life, I was very, very equipped to deal with these things.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is nothing. Mm-hmm. This is nothing. You know what I mean? So, it was something. It was definitely something, you know what I mean? But I can just only imagine how it would have been if I wasn't equipped to deal with these. It really could have took me out.
Absolutely. And it's so crazy because hindsight is 20/20, so you can only appreciate the things that happen to you after they've happened to you and you made it through that storm. And we are still in the midst of the storm because this is her life.
Yeah.
So this storm it is what it is. So we're just gonna have to find peace in it. Mm-hmm. And the peace that I found throughout that storm is I decided to be a role model first and foremost for the people that I love and for the person I love the most, my daughter. And B, we can then take the education and we can take all of the things that we've tried and that has worked for us and we can help someone else. Right. Because sickle cell anemia affects African American people primarily, well, exclusively. African American people and people of color. I don't want to leave out people of color because it does also affect other kinds of people, mainly like Puerto Rican, possibly Mexican, but people of African descent.
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
So when you say that you and your family, you want to take this and educate people, what is that education piece that you really try to tell people of color when it comes to sickle cell anemia?
Oh my God, there's so many things. There's so many things.
What's your top three?
Oh, top three.
Give me your top three.
Top three is your mindset. Top three will always be your mindset because you get out head first of anything in your entire life. I don't care what it is. You get out head first. If you can bring your mind out, your body eventually will follow. And bringing your head out doesn't always mean your situation changes. Kai has sickle cell. Today she has sickle cell. Tomorrow she'll have sickle cell too. But her head isn't in sickle cell.
Yeah.
It's not there. Her mind isn't there. It's a part of her, but it is not her. She is not sickle cell. It doesn't run her life.
It doesn't define.
It does not define who she is as a person.
Yeah, she's just a person who happens to have.
She's a person who happens to have sickle cell.
Yeah.
We call them special cells.
Oh,
yeah. We call them special cells.
Special cells.
She's special because God gave her special cells for a special reason.
Yeah.
So that's the way we talk about that today.
No, I love that.
She's 5, so
Yeah, and she's so phenomenal too. I had the opportunity to meet her several times, and she just the energy that she brings is always just really just amazing.
Oh my God.
Especially me being a dad, a relatively new dad. I just love that energy that I get from kids, man. It's just like, oh,
it's
man.
pure.
It's pure.
It's really that it comes from a really pure place.
Oh my God,
is you don't have to question it at all.
It's
right?
beautiful. It's beautiful. So top 3 is your mind. Number 1 will always be your mindset, because if you can change your mind, you can change your life. And I know it sounds cliche, but as cliche and as easy as it sounds, it's just that simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, but it's just that simple. So number 1 is your mindset. Changing your mindset and how you view sickle cell and what it means to you is the first thing in order to, and I don't want to call it a fight, it's the first thing to manage. And the second thing is responsibility. Because our health and our wellness is our responsibility. It is not the responsibility of your doctors. It's not the responsibility of your family. It is your responsibility and your responsibility solely. God gifted us with these shells that we call bodies, and it's our responsibility to take care of them. They're our responsibility. So, and sometimes radical responsibility doesn't always look pretty.
Oof.
It's not cute.
Not at all.
I love to say everything everybody else fault. But it really isn't. Your life is what you make it. So your health and wellness is your responsibility. And thirdly, you're not by yourself. Community. Community.
That's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
I love that you said that too, because it was community that really got me to be a little bit more open and vulnerable about my own health journey, right? And really talking to you, and we've had these conversations too, like even, having the opportunity to sit and talk to you, and like you just giving me like a real gut reality check, no pun intended. But you just telling it to me like how it is and giving it to me raw, right? And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I got
in love.
Yeah, it's all in love. It's always in love. But
always in love.
But I think that's just so important, because our community specifically, we it's like we suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Right?
Always.
And it's like we gotta kind of get out of our own way,
like
because
we're
I think
supposed to.
Yeah, because it's so much that can be, and that, I know for me, I have a clear vision of just like this radical transformation happening in my life. I have it. I see it as clear as day. You know what I mean? I know it's gonna happen. I know I'm gonna be on somebody's beach. You know what I'm saying? Just ass popping all over the damn place. I know I'm gonna be that. I know I'm gonna be that way. I'm gonna be a hot ass mess on somebody's beach.
I need all this. I need a 10-pack.
Yeah. Not my little onesie that I have. I gotta get rid of the onesie. So. Right. But one of the things that I spoke about earlier was because you talk about the sickle cell and things like that, but you also are really big into physical fitness, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So kind of talk to us about that, because and we're going to put your, tag your Instagram and everything, because I want people to go on your Instagram and because it's for motivational purposes only, people. I'm telling you, she is absolutely just rock solid in shape, and and it really is inspiring, as a Black man, to seeing another queen out here just really doing it. And doing it at a high level is really inspiring, So just kind of talk about that whole journey of just like the physical part of it.
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Well, first off, thank you. I really do appreciate that. It's just been a part of my life, sometimes more than others, but it's always been important to me. Always. So as far as I could remember, even back to high school, so I am not an athlete by any means. I don't think I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. It just is what it is. I have 2 left feet. It's okay. God gifted me other ways. So I have never been athletic in any way. But I've always loved fitness, always loved physical fitness. But it changed. What it meant to me has changed. So before it was, it was abs and legs, and now it's how I feel, at a cellular level. And I mean, it sounds really deep, and it can get deep, but it's not that deep. It's really not. It's not what's on the outside, because health and wellness looks different for everybody. It's about how I feel now. But what got me into health and wellness more than anything, I'm really trying to think, is I want to say before I had Kai, I've always been fit. But I've always been a slim woman, even before health and wellness. But I really just found it as an outlet and to be very therapeutic. And the what I look like was just an added benefit. Yeah, right. It was just an added benefit. So to be totally honest, it wasn't something I did for discipline. I just liked it. But it turned into so much more. So after having Kai, I think, from 36 weeks to 39 weeks, I ate a cheeseburger a day. And I'm not ashamed of that. Yes. I did. Jesus I enjoyed Christ. My pregnancy. So up until maybe 30 weeks, I was literally spinning, and I was working out my entire pregnancy. And it was because I absolutely enjoyed it. It was an outlet for me. And it wasn't because I was angry. It was just because I enjoyed it. But after having Kai, it went from, I enjoy this, to, I need to do this, because it is a way that I can show her how to take care of herself. So she has only ever seen me going to the gym, drinking our water. So it literally has turned into, it's my responsibility. Staying my wellness is a responsibility, so that I can show her what wellness looks like and what it can look like for her. And also how to, because sometimes we just don't know how. Not that we don't want to. We don't know how. Nobody looks like me in the gym. Why
Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that that's a good motivation to have, especially when it comes to, kids, right? Because like you said, you want to be an example for her.
Absolutely.
And for her to be able to see it. Should people just want it for themselves? Can they use that as a motivating factor? The fact that they have kids and they want to be an example now? Or should it be somewhat more intrinsic where they should just want it for themselves?
Duality is important.
Okay.
Two things can exist at the same time. So you can want it for yourself and have that added benefit, or it can be solely for something outside of yourself and it benefits every other area of your life. So for me, it became something that I wanted more than for her. Mm-hmm. And from it, me wanting that from her, my love for fitness grew into so much more. And it then began to be me educating myself. So before I even knew what a bicep was, I was doing bicep curls. And sometimes you don't need to know everything to start. You just need to start, and that's okay. So for me, it's both. It became, I do this for me, but I do this for me so that you can do this for you, or I'm doing it for us. Mm-hmm. Because I need to show you. Kids don't do what you say; they do what they see.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, you can say what you want, but I firmly believe that children do what they see. Our kids she inherited my genes, so she has 50% of my genes, but she has 100% of my habits. It just is what it is. So if there's any way to teach your child something, it's to show them.
Yeah.
And that might be hard, but it's okay.
All right. So you have this. I'm going to transition and kind of talk about the business side of things.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Because
we could talk all day.
Yeah, you have the gut bar.
Yeah.
It's why the gut? Why focus on the gut?
For a lot of reasons. I am a nurse, and throughout this last pandemic, I worked in almost every wave, in various cities in multiple states. And I started to experience my own gut issues. And there was once specifically, I was in New York City, and I was working way more than you should. And I look up, and it had been 7 days since I had a bowel movement. And I felt terrible.
Oh, God. I feel bad after that
day. Was
it
the way you was working? What?
There was a lot of things. So, okay. I mean, at that time, we didn't know quite what was going on, so I'm not taking off my suit. I'm not getting a drink. I'm not eating the way that I should. I'm probably not resting. There was so much uncertainty in the world as a whole. And that stress alone actually plays a really big role in your gut health. But your gut health impacts every other system in your entire body. So our guts are where we digest and absorb nutrients from our foods. And in order to be healthy and whole, you need to absorb nutrients. And how else can you do that with a dysfunctional gut? And if your gut is dysfunctional, then that lends to dysfunction in every other system of your body. I look at our bodies as an ecosystem where there's we're a bunch of different ecosystems all in one. But we need to care for them all equally.
So I have a question.
Absolutely.
So I know that, well, it's kind of hard now because we don't even know what to trust as far as fruits and vegetables because of how they're made. But besides the fruits and vegetables that we are supposed to eat, whether they're real or not now, are there any like supplements or anything that you take to get an extra dose of something that we do need that you actually trust? Like, is there something that you actually trust as a supplement to what we actually need? I know vitamin D. I keep hearing about vitamin D, especially up here because we don't have that much sun. But are there anything else that you take?
I eat food. You will never hear me. Well, okay, so for every single person, that's different because every single body is different and we need different things. For me specifically and for my family specifically, like we prioritize the things that we eat. And I say that because you'll get the most impact from that. So instead, we've decided to come up with a budget, and our budget prioritizes nutrition because of my daughter's health issues. Mm-hmm. So am I going to spend it in the hospital or am I going to spend it feeding her?
Right.
Which one do they want?
What they say either pay healthy now or pay later when you sick.
Let food be thy medicine. So food is our medicine, and yes, we work in conjunction with her healthcare providers, and we love her healthcare providers, and we revere them for the education that they hold. But they don't drive the bus. We drive the bus. Our lives is the bus, and we are in control. So we really, that radical responsibility, I've passed that to her because I need her to understand that everything that happens in her life is her responsibility.
Go back real quick because,
Sure.
you said that, you guys set a budget, right? And obviously with that, you are, like you said, you're prioritizing healthy eating, clean eating. Oftentimes, I guess one of the things that we hear from people is that it's too expensive to eat healthy, right? And this is the reason why they choose not to, especially if you live in areas that has like a food desert, right? Where you don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that, but you have the Arab corner store who's selling all of the nonsense that you shouldn't be eating, right? So
Absolutely.
Talk to those people, like those people who have those reservations around like, I would like to eat healthy, I just don't have the means for it, because that's often an excuse, right?
I would ask them, and this is what I ask myself every single month before I go grocery shopping, what's important? What matters to you? My values are what drive my actions. I'm going to say most of the time. Things that are important to me. So I make that space, and I've chosen that because the health of myself and my family is most important to me. And I want to answer both questions because you asked me what, like, some things are real and some things are not. And there are ways, even with conventional foods, that you can live a more healthy life with the resources that you have. It's not all about what you don't have. It's about utilizing the things you do have and knowing that those things, you can use them in a way that you can live a better life. A lot of the times people think they need things outside of themselves in order to live a better life. And that's really in any way, but you don't. You just need intention, and you just need focus, and you just need to prioritize. And that's in every area of life. So there is a list. I can't think of the name, but it's like the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 of fruits and vegetables that you can buy conventionally, meaning like from the grocery store, and it's okay to use. And there's certain things because of the pesticides that are sprayed that you just should not use at all. And I'll provide you guys with that list because because there are certain things that I'll go to the grocery store and it's like, if the money's looking funny, then what do we need to do? We still need to eat healthy. So one, we meal prep. And we plan all of our meals because you pay for convenience. You pay for convenience. It seems like McDonald's is a better option because of the money, but it's really a better option because of the convenience.
Right.
So if we diverted a little bit of the time that we have in our day, and as a mom, I understand. Sometimes, oodles and noodles look good. Yeah. But oodles and noodles is not good to me.
Tell me that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love me some good oodles. Okay.
Listen, I have 8 siblings.
Top ramen.
I grew up on Top Ramen, and chicken is bussin'. Roasted chicken. Roasted chicken.
Ooh, that roasted
Wait,
chicken.
not with a little.
The orange pack.
The orange pack. Oh.
Orange pack going down.
Listen.
Put some sriracha and some black pepper. Oh.
Wait. That's not what we're here for. But I definitely understand, and I get that. And it's sometimes where it's so funny because people think that discipline doesn't lend freedom, but there's so much freedom in discipline. There's so much peace in discipline. When things are planned and executed, that's when I'm at the most peace I've ever had in my life. And it's the times where I'm not prepared, and that's in any area of my life where I have the least amount of peace. So I made it a job of mine to meal prep and to plan, and it doesn't cost as much as you think. People think that like problems are such a mountain, so health and wellness is such a mountain, physical fitness is such a mountain, but all it takes is for you to start.
Because there's certain things that you can do that it's like on the physical fitness side of things, for example, right? There are certain things that you can do that really doesn't even require you even going to the gym.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you could, like you say, you just got to start. So you could just start simple, like just going for a walk. Like I love my morning walks, right?
Yes, me too.
I absolutely love my morning walks,
Yes.
you know, and and that does wonders for your body too. It's those little things that you can just start. But I think oftentimes we're just so conditioned though to have these excuses for ourselves on why we can't do things. And, you know, we have, you know, things around us, whether it's like, you know, commercials telling us like things like milk does a body good when we know that that's absolutely not the case.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
my parents still live in the city of Buffalo. I see them almost every single day. I grew up with 9 siblings. We had everything that we needed and not a lot of what we wanted, but we were happy. And my family prioritized and valued family. And my mother cooked every single day. And my father went to work. And my father came home and we ate at the table every single night.
Wow.
And that was a priority for them.
Wow.
My parents
That's beautiful.
prioritized that. You know, and that's not the case for every single person, but I grew up with those same commercials. And here I am today. You can do something different and it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like everything that's around you, and that's okay. It may not feel okay all the time, but it's okay.
Yeah. I know we're almost at the end, but I want you to hit on the colon hydrotherapy.
Colon hydrotherapy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to, you know, kind of go there for a second too, because we talked about the gut, right? And I want to stay there for a second because that has been my issue. Right. So selfishly, I'm trying to absorb all of this information that I can because I want all of the information that I can take in so I can start to make these changes in my life. Right. And I know I've had my own set of health challenges. And just like you said, when you look back at everything, a lot of it can be centered, you know, the focus can go back to your gut. Right. So what are those things that I need to, because I got a little onesie, right? And I really want to get rid of the onesie.
Cool, I got you.
So I know I got a lot of, you know, gut issues and such. What do I need to do to like really, you know, can I start with the colonics?
We can start with the colonics.
Colonics?
We will start with the colonics.
What's the process of colonics? Because I YouTubed it the other day, and this was the first time I looked it up. I was like, oh, this is what happens. Right. So kind of talk about that.
So I think of your gut as a garden. And it has good bugs, bad bugs, and okay bugs. And in order to reboot that system, the first thing you do is you weed your garden. So that's what a colon does. It's like a workout for you. A colonic does. It's like a workout for your gut, and it's weeding the garden. So we're going to take the bad out. Sometimes people have large stool burdens, which means the poop that's still inside of you fermenting in your gut, that your body is constantly reabsorbing things from, and it's sending that into your cells. So what I do as a colon hydrotherapist is the first thing that we do is we talk about your nutrition. We have a consultation. Following your consultation, I will give you a set of directions. And for those directions for every person is different. If you're coming to me with gut issues, it's for one thing. But if you're coming to me for something else, then it's different. It's specialized and it's individualized to what your goals and needs are at that particular time. After that consultation, after those directions, we come in, we have a session. So what I use is a device, and it's inserted into your rectum. It's about as big as my pinky, and it's only inserted about 2 inches, and we use water, and that water softens that stool. We can go in your large intestine.
Are you putting something to, like, you know, before this goes up to kind of...
Absolutely. Everything is sterilized. Everything is lubricated. Everything is disposable.
I don't know. You know.
Everything is safe. A lot of the questions that I have received is, it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt. So
it's just the idea of something, you know.
Well, something comes out every day, and it should.
Well, absolutely, but going up.
Going in. He's like, going in is different. That's a different thing.
I don't really have things going in like that. You know what I'm saying?
Different.
Yeah.
So the sensation might be a little bit different, but to be totally honest, it's something that you manage. So I don't manage you. I manage the machine. So there will be sensations that you don't necessarily understand, or you're not used to. You're like, something going in is different for me. But that's something that we talk through, we meditate through. Okay. So it really might be uncomfortable. It'll be uncomfortable literally for maybe a minute. I have found that 99% of people following a session feel so much better.
Goes?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Like, no.
I'm just, listen,
Look,
I'm
like,
trying to get this done.
He's like, I'm worried.
Like-
I am worried. No, he's like, is it?
Like, I really want to get this done, right?
Me too.
And
Yes.
I really want to, get myself cleansed out, but it's the
I know.
it's that part, you know.
So we have that conversation, and I want, most importantly, for people to feel safe. So we talk about those things prior to the insertion, but the insertion is the only time that you should feel uncomfortable.
How long does the insertion last?
Maybe a second.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Like literally a breath.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
And then the water goes in.
And then there's water. So then there's.
That's gonna feel weird. Like, does it?
I'm personally, I receive colonics like monthly, and the
Do
answer
you?
is no. I do. Absolutely.
Good for you.
Absolutely.
That's why them abs is rock solid. Though.
Absolutely.
She got the whole 8-pack over here, man.
So it's just something that you have to get used to, but it should not be painful at all. If it is painful, you tell me that that's painful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's absolutely. So we're not here for pain. We're after that, there's massage. I have an infrared light. I'll show you guys of the infrared light. And the infrared is a targeted therapy that helps to break up that stool, that helps with that blood circulation as well. There's abdominal massage that happens, and we empty and we fill for as many times as we need to. But you're really in the driver of that. So I'm there to manage the machine, and you're there to manage yourself. So it's kind of like on a fill cycle, it's water going in, and it will stay there, and it will soften stool. There'll be abdominal massage, and when you feel the need to go to release, you tell me to release, and that's when we release. And sometimes it takes a while, depending on how often you go or have not gone.
So I'm going in front of you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because I'm like,
I'm glad you brought that up.
Like, release right now.
I'm glad you brought that up. So my system, there are different kinds of systems. My system is a closed system, meaning so there are two tubes. There's a water going in tube, and there's a stool coming out tube. It flows into a machine, and from the machine it goes out as if you were flushing the toilet.
Oh, okay.
So are you still pushing it out?
You're not pushing it out.
Oh,
you don't need to
okay.
push at all. You'll get the sensation, but there is no need to push whatsoever. To be totally honest, the best thing to do is to be calm. Because when I think of going to the bathroom, you don't think of like, oh, I'm in fight or flight. You need to be calm. You sit on the toilet, you're looking at your phone, you're reading a magazine, waiting for the moment, you feel the urge, all right, let's go, right? But there won't be a need to push, because it's just an extension of you. I know it sounds so crazy.
It does. It sounds crazy as hell, but it sounds really interesting at the same time. You know,
Very much
especially so. I think because you said once the water is in, it kind of softens everything up. So
and then your body naturally.
And
so we have peristalsis.
It excretes it up.
Your body will excrete it on its own. So the whole purpose of colonics and colon hydrotherapy is to allow your body and to give your body the space and what it needs in order to take care of itself. Our bodies take care of themselves. We don't need medication.
How many sessions do you think someone needs before? I mean, obviously, I think it might depend on the individual, right?
I suggest 3 to start.
Okay.
I suggest 3 to start. And I offer 3 within 1 week to start.
Does it help you lose weight?
There is a possibility. It depends on your stool burden. So a lot of times people walk around and, that 1 pack you got, it could be stool.
Right.
It really could be
I think
stool.
it might be.
If you eat 3 times a day and you go maybe once a day, are you constipated?
Probably.
Yeah. This is
You know what? I'm glad you're
Yes.
here. Because let me ask you this real quick.
What's up?
So somebody was saying usually, especially the first 2 meals of the day, I always go right after the first 2. The last one at dinner, probably because I eat too late at night, I don't. But somebody said that it's actually not a good idea for you to use the bathroom like 3 times a day. Is that true?
No.
Okay, because they're doing
Wait, what?
this.
So-
The short answer to that is no.
Shouldn't you go after you eat?
That's what I would
within
think.
45 minutes to an hour after eating, you should go. So it depends on the transit time. And transit time is from the time the food goes into your mouth to the time that it's absorbed and you have the need to defecate. And for every single person, that's different. And it also depends on what you eat as well, because it takes longer to break some things down than others. Things like protein take a lot longer than like a fruit would. It just takes longer. So it really just depends on the person. So what is normal for you may not be normal for someone else. Right. And that's just all about of a conversation. Conversations change a lot of things.
So post session.
Yes.
This is where the maintenance part of it, right?
Yes.
This is where the individual who had the service done to them, that's when they really need to start practicing the maintenance. And I think the maintenance, and correct me if I'm wrong, it starts with your nutrition.
Absolutely. Right? Nutrition is foundational. Nothing good comes from bad nutrition. Yeah. You can't outwork a bad diet. You won't live long with a bad diet. There's literally nothing you can do if that doesn't change. So this is a part of a bigger thing. This is like to get you started. So we start with weeding our garden with detoxification, and that's with juicing and other things depending on what your need is. And then we have our session, and our session is the weeding of the garden, and then we start to regenerate that garden. So we do that with nutrition. We talk about nutrition in your session. We talk about things that you're doing, the stressors that are in your life, because it's all encompassing. Everything in our lives is integrated. Mm-hmm. So you can do well in one area and do terrible in another. So we talk about changes that we could make, lifestyle changes that we could make as a whole that will impact your physical health. Because the way that we live impacts our physical health, and our physical health impacts the way that we live. Yeah. It's twofold. So we talk about all of that post-session, and there also will be directions post-session as well.
Avi, I don't know if you remember on when we had the last episode talking about the health as well, when I was talking about my journey, and I was saying how I really want to document my process, right? I think this is going to be a good place for me to start to document.
Okay,
let's do it.
I don't know what HIPAA laws and things like that. Can I film? Can we? I mean, obviously, I don't want people to see stuff coming out of me or whatever, but I mean, I really want to document this process of me actually going to come into a session, because I'm absolutely going to do this.
Absolutely.
1,000% going to do it.
HIPAA is protection for you. So whatever you feel comfortable sharing is what you can share. And we're also not in a healthcare setting, so the rules are different. If you decide to if I get a colonic and I'm like, look, I'm getting monthly maintenance, that's okay for you to do. But as a nurse, if you're in the hospital, I'm not taking pictures of you.
Right.
No. Right. So, that's just, it's up to what you feel comfortable with. But I would implore every single person to come. And if not, just for education, because education is the first step.
And this is called the gut bar.
This is called the gut bar.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about the gut bar before you wrap up.
So the gut bar is like, it's a drink for your mind, your body, and your spirit. Honestly, all problems start in the gut. 70% of our immune system is in our gut, and it influences the health and wellness of literally every other system of your body. So we need to weed that gut. We need to feed that gut. We need to nurture that gut so that gut can nurture us and nurture every other part of our bodies. So we're actually located at 166 Chandler Street, suite number 8. And you can follow us on Instagram at the Gut Bar Western New York. We have a TikTok at the Gut Bar Western New York as well. So follow us there and come get educated. And we'll see you at the Gut Bar. Come have a drink with us.
I'm definitely it's going to be a very healthy drink that y'all have.
Let's do it.
Don't think y'all coming in having no cocktail, because that's not happening.
Not that kind of cocktail.
Not that type of cocktail. But you have a cocktail, but not that type of cocktail. But no, this is amazing because I'm like super excited. I was having a conversation with you earlier. Every time I have a conversation with you, like I really just get inspired, like with my own health journey and everything. And this is something I'm absolutely going to do, because again, we've been talking about your practice in the gut bar and everything, and I had no idea what it was until when I looked it up. I was like, you know what?
That's a good idea.
This is something I should try. Maybe I should try this, because I'm dead ass serious about myself, like just having this radical transformation in my life. Like it is absolutely going to happen. It's clear as day. God forbid that I'm here, like while I'm here present on this earth, it's going to happen, right? So. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me to
any way that we can assist you in your journey. And I think this is a beautiful place to start. And I think it takes people like us so people know that they can and they deserve, and it's okay. And it's something that you need as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good place to start.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
Your insurance, does insurance cover this, or?
Yes, insurance for some reasons covers it. So I will be able to accept flex plans. So it just depends. Okay. And that's something that we can talk about, and we can make sure that it does if that's something that you need. So absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Folks, y'all really don't have any excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like, you probably don't have to come out of pocket. You know, like insurance might cover it for you. But even if you did, I would absolutely encourage you, you know, because again, you just don't want to be playing catch up later on, right? Yeah. You just don't want to, you know, be in this position where you having all these health issues, and for some reason, you know, now you have to be more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reactive.
Absolutely.
Than proactive.
Being proactive is a pound of prevention is better. What they say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is. It's a pound of prevention, actually. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we are here to prevent disease, and we want people to live well, because living well is our birthright. It's not something that's just for one select group of people. African American people, all people deserve to live well, not just live long.
I love it.
Sick lives.
I love it.
Amen.
How can people? I know you said you're on social media. Like, plug your social media
absolutely.
handles.
So I am on Instagram at I am Ariel Mo. I am on Facebook as Ariel Collins, and you can find me there, or you can follow the Gut Bar, and you can stay tuned for more, because there's going to be so much more.
A lot more. Yeah, really excited about all this coming with the Gut Bar. So thank you for this.
You
we really
coming.
appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm
I know.
so excited.
I'm gonna
Thank
be
you so
transparent
much.
with y'all. This was a very last minute thing. When I say last minute,
Maybe.
I told her an hour before
told me about
we had this conversation. I was like, I need you to come on the podcast tonight. We were going to move some things around. I need you to be here to have this conversation, and she accommodated us. So we appreciate
and I'm so glad
you.
that you did. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
This is just the first of many. I'm excited.
First of very
and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
I appreciate
Very
you.
good. Good to hear.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of the streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on Audible as well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us across all major streaming platforms. And I said that already, but all social media platforms at We Are the Ones podcast.
And remember, keep winning on purpose, because you are the one we have been waiting for.